The Intuitive Wellness Cafe podcast is hosted by me, intuitive eating wellness coach Deanna Kozarov. My mission is to show women that health and wellness can be achieved without the pursuit of weight loss, counting calories, and spending hours in the gym punishing yourself. I am taking back health and wellness from diet culture and showing women that they don't have to succumb to diet culture standards to feel good in their body and find joy in life. I'll be coming on the podcast to talk about a variety of topics that will help you on your journey to food freedom, movement, and how to care for your body and life. It is my hope that by having this podcast, you will have the mental and emotional space freed up to enjoy life instead of constantly worrying and stressing over food and exercise, and live the life that you deserve. Let's get started. Welcome to episode 7 of the Intuitive Wellness Cafe. I hope you are well and good. In today's episode, we will be chatting about what is emotional eating. So I like the definition of emotional eating that Evelyn Trebola and Elise Resch have in their book, Intuitive Eating. And that is emotional eating occurs when one responds to emotional triggers instead of hunger cues. So one way to look at it is emotional eating is when we use food to cope with feelings that are uncomfortable and when needs that are not met instead of actually feeling and or addressing our feelings. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. When we are upset about a recent event that has happened to us, we'll park ourselves in front of the TV and eat a whole pint of ice cream, for example. Like we turn to food even though we are not hungry to try to mask the feelings instead of dealing with them. Emotional eating is not only when we are bored, angry, or feeling sad either. For example, we also emotionally eat when there is a happy celebration like a birthday, a job promotion, or a wedding event. Emotional eating is not a bad thing. So I really want to emphasize that. Emotional eating is not a bad thing. Emotional eating has been demonized by diet culture that it is something you should never do, which is false. Especially if you have not developed any other coping tools to address our emotions. Emotional eating can provide comfort and safety in some cases. As humans, we have feelings, and it is not something that you can entirely eliminate. The issue becomes when food is your only way to cope with your emotions. You turn to food on autopilot every time you have a difficult emotion that you don't want to face. We need to keep in mind that our feelings are produced from the thoughts that we create from beliefs we have. So we have to address emotional eating at the thought level. Sometimes we just have to sit with our feelings and face them head on and let them wave over us. Because eating emotionally may help temporarily, but if you're not feeling the feelings, then they will keep resurfacing. But sometimes feeling our feelings 24/7 is too much. So we do need tools in your toolbox to help you cope with your feelings aside from food. Pay attention when your body turns to food. It's telling us a message. Our bodies are always sending us a message. So Evelyn Trebola and Elise Resch suggest asking yourself 4 questions to see if you are responding to hunger cues or to cope with emotions. And this will allow you to reduce the chances of emotional eating. Number 1, am I hungry? Number 2, what am I feeling? Number 3, what do I need? And number 4, how can I meet that need? If you don't know what you need, that is okay. Being aware is just like progress in itself. Because if you knew what you needed, you wouldn't turn to food. We need to practice curiosity and compassion over judgment in all the things we do. In this case, we can get curious of our eating behaviors. There are so many avenues you can turn to instead of always to food. Building your emotional support box, your emotional support toolbox that includes other ways to cope with feelings along with food is essential. For example, it can include things like writing in a journal, go for a walk, listening to music, calling a friend. I actually have a 30-day non-diet self-care calendar that has many ideas. If you want to go ahead and grab that, it's free. I'll put the link in the show notes. It's a non-dated one, so you can start at any time. It doesn't have any specific dates or anything. And I invite you to also create your own self-care toolbox of what works and feels best to you. And if you do tend to use emotional eating, which will still happen, you can use it in a way that is a form of self-care to the fullest extent if possible. Like for me, for instance, if I am working on a difficult task and I'm getting frustrated or I am upset about something, I would take the time out and I'll get my shoes on, go for a little walk to my neighborhood coffee shop, grab myself a coffee and a croissant, maybe go to the park with my coffee and pastry in hand, or just simply walk back home if I'm short on time. It doesn't have to be like that elaborate either. Maybe you can watch an uplifting movie or a show with your favorite comfort food or snack at home. Just an example that I'm just throwing out there. So I hope by now you have a better understanding of what emotional eating is, and you learn that it is not a bad thing that diet culture makes it out to be. The issue becomes when emotional eating is the only coping tool you have in your toolbox. So if you haven't developed your emotional toolbox, coping toolbox, go ahead and grab my free 30-day self-care calendar. Like I said, it has some non-diet ideas. And they're not just like massages or like bubble baths, or it goes beyond that. And I will put the link, as I said, in the show notes, or you can even send me an email and I can send it to you, deanna@deannakozarov.com. Well, thanks again for listening, and I hope this helps, and I will chat with you on the next episode.